CRT TVs are gone. Walk into any electronics store today, any living room, any hotel room, any office waiting area. You will not find one. Not a single one. The big, heavy box television that sat in the corner of every home on Earth for over 50 years has completely vanished from modern life. And nobody talks about it. Nobody asks where it went. Nobody misses it publicly. Nobody writes articles demanding it back. The television that raised entire generations, that sat at the center of family life for decades, just disappeared. Replaced. Discarded. Forgotten. So what really happened to CRT TVs? How does a technology that dominated the world for half a century just stop existing? The answer goes deeper than you think. It started in 1897. A German physicist named Carl Ferdinand Braun invented something called the cathode ray tube. It was a glass vacuum tube that could fire electrons at a screen and make them glow. At the time, nobody knew what this would become. It was a laboratory experiment, a scientific curiosity. But by the 1930s, engineers had figured out how to use it to display moving images. The television was born. The first commercial TVs went on sale in the late 1930s. They were expensive. The screens were tiny. The picture was black and white and blurry. But people stood in shop windows and stared at them like they were witnessing a miracle. Because they were moving pictures in your home without going to a cinema. After World War II, everything accelerated. Factories that had spent years building weapons switched to building consumer goods. Televisions became cheaper. Screens got bigger. By the 1950s, the TV set had moved from a luxury item into a household necessity across America and Europe. Families rearranged their entire living rooms around it. The sofa faced the television. The chairs faced the television. Family dinner time shifted to match television schedules. Children grew up sitting on the floor in front of it on Saturday mornings. Parents watched the news on it every evening. The CRT television did not just enter homes, it became the center of homes. By the 1970s, color television had taken over completely. The picture was sharp, the colors were vivid. Screens were getting bigger every few years. Sony, Panasonic, Samsung, Philips, JVC. Every major electronics company on Earth was building CRT televisions and selling them by the millions. By the 1990s, the CRT TV was at its absolute peak. Every home had one. Most homes had two or three. You had the big one in the living room, a smaller one in the bedroom, sometimes one in the kitchen. They were built like furniture. Heavy, solid, permanent. Some of them weighed 40 kilograms. You needed two people just to move one into a room. Nobody questioned it. This was simply what a television was. A big, heavy box that sat in the corner and showed you the world. That world was about to be turned upside down. The first warning sign came in the 1990s. Engineers in Japan had been working quietly on a completely different technology. Instead of firing electrons at a glass tube, they were building screens made of liquid crystals sandwiched between two thin panels. No tube, no glass vacuum, no electron gun. Just a flat panel. The image it produced was sharper than anything a CRT could show. The screen was thinner than a notebook, and it could be made in any size without the weight becoming impossible to manage. They called it LCD, liquid crystal display. At first, LCD screens were only used in laptops and small devices. The technology was expensive. The screens were small. Nobody seriously thought it would replace the television in the living room. The CRT manufacturers were not worried. They should have been. In the early 2000s, flat-screen televisions started appearing in electronics stores. They were incredibly expensive. A 42-inch plasma screen television in 2002 cost around $15,000. A good CRT television of the same era cost $300. Nobody except the very wealthy could afford a flat screen. The CRT television felt completely safe, but prices were falling fast. Every year, flat screens got cheaper. Every year, the picture got better. Every year, the screens got thinner. And people started noticing something they had never noticed before. Their CRT television was enormous. It was heavy. It took up half the room. It sat on a dedicated stand that was practically a piece of furniture on its own. You could not hang it on a wall. You could not move it easily. And compared to the flat screens appearing in store windows, it suddenly looked old, clunky, outdated. The CRT had not changed, but people's perception of it had changed completely. Then, high definition arrived, and it was over. HD television required screens that could display far more detail than any CRT could manage. The technology simply could not keep up. Building a CRT screen that could display HD content at a large size was physically impossible without making a television so heavy and so deep that no home could accommodate it. Flat screens had no such limitation. They could display HD perfectly. They could be made larger every year without becoming heavier. A 50-inch flat screen television weighed less than a 28-inch CRT. Prices on flat screens dropped below $1,000 in 2006. Then below $500. Then below $300. And the decision for most families became simple. A flat screen television that hangs on the wall, displays a perfect HD picture, and takes up almost no space. Or a CRT television that weighs 40 kilograms, sits on a dedicated stand, and cannot display HD at all. There was no competition. The collapse was sudden and complete. In 2007, for the first time in television history, flat-screen televisions outsold CRT televisions globally. 1 year later, most major manufacturers had stopped producing CRT televisions entirely. Sony stopped, Samsung stopped, LG stopped, Panasonic stopped. One by one, quietly, without ceremony, they shut down the production lines that had been running for decades. By 2010, finding a new CRT television in a mainstream electronics store was nearly impossible. By 2015, the only CRT televisions left were the ones already sitting in homes, slowly being carried out to the curb on rubbish collection day. Landfills around the world filled with them. Millions of televisions, built to last 20 years, discarded after just a few. The tubes contained lead. Disposing of them safely was expensive and complicated. Cities ran special collection programs just to handle the volume of CRT televisions people were throwing away. A technology that had taken 50 years to reach every home on Earth vanished from those homes in less than 10 years. Here is what makes this story remarkable. The CRT television did not fail. It was not recalled. It was not found to be dangerous. It did not break down or disappoint the people who used it. It showed pictures for decades, reliably, without complaint. The picture quality of a good CRT television from the late 1990s was genuinely excellent by the standards of that era. Many photographers and video editors actually preferred CRT monitors for color accuracy. Some still do, but none of that mattered. The world had decided it wanted something thinner, something that could hang on a wall, something that looked modern. And no amount of picture quality or reliability could save a technology that looked like the past. This is the lesson the CRT television teaches. Being good at your job is not enough. Being reliable is not enough. Being trusted is not enough. The moment something newer arrives that people find more desirable, the clock starts ticking. And it does not stop. There is a small community of people who still seek out CRT televisions today. Retro gamers who want to play old consoles the way they were designed to be played. Classic video games from the 1980s and 1990s were built specifically for CRT screens. The way the image renders on a CRT is different from any modern display. Many players say the games simply look wrong on a flat screen. Collectors who appreciate the build quality of vintage electronics. Repair enthusiasts who enjoy the challenge of maintaining complex analog technology. And some people who simply feel that the image a CRT produces has a warmth and character that modern screens cannot replicate. These people are rare, but they exist. And because of them, working CRT televisions are now becoming valuable. The same televisions people were throwing away 10 years ago are selling for hundreds of dollars in certain collector communities today. History has a way of making people appreciate what they discarded. The CRT television had over 70 years. Born in a physics laboratory as a scientific experiment, grew into the defining object of 20th century home life, sat at the center of living rooms and family moments and historic broadcasts for generations. It showed the moon landing. It showed the fall of the Berlin Wall. It showed every World Cup final, every Olympic ceremony, every news event that shaped the modern world. And then flat screens arrived, lighter, thinner, sharper, cheaper, and the CRT television was carried to the curb. No tribute, no recognition, no farewell broadcast, just gone. That big, heavy box that your family gathered around every evening for your entire childhood. That sat in the corner of every waiting room and every hotel and every school you ever attended. Gone. Maybe you remember yours.